Thank you for the kind presentation, and thank you for the invitation to my lecture today. I'm very pleased to give you an overview of our work at YCBS. YCBS, you have a picture already here on the board, means Youth Connected by Sounds, and it connects people, young and not only young people, but open-minded people all around the world with radio, through sound. Also, we are staying in the area of sound diplomacy. And yes, and we are producing, YCBS is producing radio programs, radio features, documentaries in more than 15 languages, mostly in German and English. Yes, as the colleagues of ICD thought, I'm leaving the cultural diplomacy because this was the reason why I founded this radio, because I lived in a time as many borders divided us from one another. Actually, I'm originally from Bulgaria, and as I was 18, 19 years old, I started my study in Berlin, and at that time, Europe wasn't an open house, it was closed house with big walls. And in the time before, it was here in Berlin, especially stayed the Berlin Wall, but also around Europe we had a lot of wars, and we have them till now, unfortunately. But okay, let's start with the lecture. Actually, I prepared also some audios because we are talking about radio and radio programs and projects. Therefore, I prepared some audios for you, and this would be just a moment. Yes, I have it. Okay. So we can start with an excerpt of radio program, radio feature produced by students from 4 cities: Tunis, La Rochelle, Marseille, and Berlin, who attended a radio project about cities in Berlin with YCBS and the Goethe Institute Paris. And excuse me, and let's listen to an excerpt. This I hope that some of you understand or not really. Okay, I will give you an overview of the content. The excerpt which you will listen to it is called Wir sind Berliner. Its authors are students from Marseille, Berlin, La Rochelle, and Tunis. And the young authors who are inspired by the historical sentence of John F. Kennedy, Ich bin ein Berliner, made during a speech in front of the City Hall Schöneberg in Berlin, where the mayor of Berlin were assembling when the city was divided in East and West. You will hear an interview with visitors of the City Hall Schöneberg, and also an interview with a teacher who remembers that sentence and Kennedy's speech in the 1960s, as thousands of Berlin citizens listened to it, and it became a symbol of solidarity for the people who lived in the divided city next to the most dangerous border in the world at that time. So then let's listen in the audio now.
Ich heiße Göringen, Frau Göringen. Ich bin Lehrerin an der Herbert-Huber-Oberschule.
Und waren Sie in der Zeit noch am Leben, als John F. Kennedy gesagt hat, dass er ein Berliner ist?
Ja, da war ich 6 Jahre alt.
Haben Sie es mitbekommen?
Ja, das habe ich mitbekommen. Wir hatten damals schon einen Fernseher und das konnte ich im Fernsehen verfolgen. Mhm.
Und wie fanden Sie das, als er es gesagt hat?
Na, ich fand das damals sehr bewegend, weil das war ja nach dem Mauerbau. Und also ich habe das auch mitbekommen mit der Mauer, weil wir Verwandtschaft im Osten hatten. Und das war ziemlich schwierig, mit denen zusammenzukommen. Und ja, das war für uns alle eine ganz bewegende Sache, weil es ja eine große Unsicherheit auch für die Westberliner gab. Wie wird es weitergehen mit uns? Und lassen uns die Westmächte gegebenenfalls hängen und übernimmt uns der Russe.
And therefore, as a free man, I take pride in the words, Ich bin ein Berliner.
So, inspired by the sentence of John F. Kennedy, the youngsters called their radio feature Wir sind Berliner in German, and they were really, they felt in love with the city and with its history. Okay, but let's come back to the today topic of my lecture. The fall of the Berlin Wall influenced the way of thinking of many generations and changed the life of people. It happened as I has been a teenager, and for me it was the big symbol of freedom. The Berlin Wall fell, it happened almost 25 years ago, and scene of the November 1989, with 1,000 lucky people went into the history. They wanted to be united because they are one nation. What happened afterward? The terms Ossi and Wessi became very important in spoken language. People who are living in Germany know that term, Ossi and Wessi. Ossi means people from the east part, Wessi people from the west part of Berlin, or of Germany in general. It became very hard for people from East and Southeast Europe cross the border from east to west. And the Yugoslavia war began, and with it came the division of Muslims and Christians, poor and rich, EU member states and non-EU member ones. This all continues till now, even though the EU family became bigger. Now we have the foreign border or wall, which has to protect the old continent and divide again countries from each other, pushing mistrust between nations. Mistrust exists also on our continent, Europe, between south and north, east and west. Borders and walls are appearing on the one hand due to geopolitical and economical interests, and on the other hand due to the mainstream spread by the media. What did happen in Berlin 25 years ago? People from east and west part of the city live together, but there still exists the saying, the wall in the head, in German, die Mauer im Kopf. Crossing borders or barriers is a long-term process. It's connected also with the change of media and the role of internet media in general. Nowadays, we have not more national public, but international one, because of the migration process around Europe and the world. People need to be informed directly about issues concerning different societies and cultures. How do media involve people in the currently international public, and how does it inform people about political and cultural process in an authentic way? How does media involve people in the currently international public? During my lecture, I will focus on the interactive international media called YCBS, which I mentioned before, Youth Connected by Sounds from Berlin, and on the radio shows by people from different cultural backgrounds whose programs support the public to open its mind and to get sensitive for issues and topics cross-national and cross-cultural. What is the role of such interactive media as YCBS? To give the society a voice, to give a forum for independently debate about politics, economy, culture, and environment. The YCBS content is not limited only for young people. The multilingual program is dedicated to people who want to inform themselves about current issues, taught from personal point of view, and giving at the same time a very complex picture of an issue. So I want to give examples also with reportages and radio features concerning the civic society in countries as Bulgaria and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Let's give me some impressions of the projects and programs by international and interactive media with a cultural profile. The young reporters and authors of YCBS discuss about topics which they are involved in, so they can provide us an internal view of different issues concerning culture, politics, everyday life, and environment. This authentic point of view is represented in the form of reportage, radio documentaries, so-called radio features, and comments for the radio. The authors do the research in their mother tongue and in well-known environment. On that way, the listeners receive a real picture of the issue, which is the radio program on. The YCBS radio represents topics from different parts of the life, and it also contains programs produced by open-minded people who feel them responsible to tell their story or the story of their community. The programs are mostly in German and English, also French, Portuguese, Bosnian, Russian, Ukrainian, and other languages. In that way, the authors can enlarge their network with people from other countries. As an educational radio, YCBS provides courses and workshops on transnational media and radio programs and production at universities and schools. YCBS also initiates radio projects and culture and international relations with radio. And the working languages are, as I mentioned once, German and English. YCBS is an educational channel. I may minimize this window. Founded in Berlin in December 2011 by me. So now we have already more than 38,000 listeners, partners from about 20 countries. To our partners belong, as for example, Institut Français, Goethe Institute, European University Viadrina, a media platform by the German Foreign Ministry called Young Germany, or Radio Nantes, Radio Bue from Padua, Misi Radio from Nicosia, Cyprus, and others. The partnerships and contents, here you can see also our partners, they are also visible on the page, maybe not on that page, but on the main one. So on the left you can see the partners which are cooperating with YCBS and are exchanging contents with us. And these partnerships and content exchange resulted as a cultural exchange all around the world. YCBS connects mostly young people from different countries, and the main radio genre of YCBS is the radio feature. The radio feature is a very artistic radio form that influences the listeners in a very emotional way by means of voices, music, noise, and sound effects. The radio feature allows us to represent in detail a complex topic on politics, economy, culture, or environment with a very emotional and personal approach. The production of radio feature is very expensive, actually. Therefore, they are broadcasted mainly by public radio stations. However, the team of YCBS considers it as very valuable, and as a result, radio features are a very vital part of the platform. So let me come back to the today topic and its connection with radio. Let me bring you now to Bulgaria, where young people are also trying crossing borders and destroying walls with radio. The today's topic is dedicated, and not only the today's topic, but the topic of the symposium is dedicated to the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's why I would give you a short example on one reportage by Bulgarian students who are still fighting for freedom and against every kind of walls, especially in their country, Bulgaria, and who have published their statement on YCBS, as well as their radio feature about the protests titled Children of Freedom. These young people want to be heard, not only in the social media, but also in the whole society and beyond the borders of their country. And YCBS gave them that voice. So I want to show you the project page of this project with the Bulgarian students and the Sofia University with radio, with pictures and texts, and also, of course, the certain parts of the radio feature. We produced this radio program in the educational studio called Radio Experimental at the University Sofia, together with the students. We had meetings with politicians and people from the media, and also we produced the whole production in Sofia in two languages, Bulgarian and English as well. And now I will want to give you one example of one excerpt and trailer of this feature. It is a statement by Nikki. Nikki is one student from Sofia who also belongs to the Children of Freedom. And the Children of Freedom themselves were the authors of this radio feature. And he's one of the authors. And yes, and...
Казвам се Николай Николов, основател на онлайн списанието Баница и докторант по политология. Изследвам история на тоталитаризма и процесите на демократизация в Източна Европа.
My name is Nikolai Nikolov. I'm the founder of the media platform called Banitsa, and I work on my PhD thesis, which is about the history of totalitarian systems and the process of democracy in Eastern Europe. The Berlin Wall fell, and we were born as free people in democracy. That is what the author told us. Now, 25 years later, we have in Sofia a new wall just in front of the parliament to protect the politicians from the public. Today we know that to feel free in this society is not a present but a duty. We grew up and understood it. We, the children of freedom, took certain steps to become free from the system because we deserved it.
So this is the one statement and excerpt of the whole radio feature documentary. And now I won't bring you to Bosnia-Herzegovina, another place of Europe, where young people from Mostar, this is the main city in Herzegovina, are living within division, ethnic segregation, and social problems. Big social problems, and they are using also radio and YCBS to cross barriers in their everyday life and to get in contact with young people in their city who have different religious background. Youngsters from both city sides meet together and broadcast their own radio show on the topic My City, and they have a mentor who is a professor for radio who is working with them as a volunteer. And his name is Dario Terzic. And I asked Dario Terzic, because we worked together on the radio documentary in Mostar, why they have chosen the topic My City, the young people with 14, 15, 16, why it is interesting for them. And then he told me that Dario Terzic told me because the young people who are living on the east and west side of Mostar don't know so well their home city, the new Mostar, which is invisible divided by the boulevard since more than 15 years. And the boulevard was the former front line during the Civic War. There was also the checkpoint and it still divided the people here. I can also show you first the picture of Mostar and this boulevard. Very famous in Mostar, not only because of the Civic War, but also it is the main street of the city in general, but dividing the city till now in west and east part. It is, you can see in the back of the children, of the students, You can see the boulevard here. And this is a school, the only school in Mostar where Christians and Muslims can learn together. But they have different syllabus. For instance, they are divided also according to the languages, Croatian language and Bosnian language. Actually, the both languages are very similar. 99% they are the same languages, but they are divided in different classes. But okay, this is a very progressive school because it is the same building for Christians and Muslims, the same school building. And here you can also see the playground of this school, or the football place, the sport place of the school, where the students are playing football. And Mostar is believed to be earlier known as a city of happiness, amusement, and sport. Franjo Điđić, a trainer of juniors of Zrinski team, had told me. However, happiness and amusement are nowadays something extraordinary for the inhabitants. Instead, they experience social problems and ethnic segregation, which are named by many residents as a reason for the economical slowdown in Bosnia. And one of the young radio activists, whose name is Boris, and who also attend the radio project initiated by YCBS in Mostar, titled The Bridge Between Me and You, discusses the issue of the division on micro. And now I give you an example with it.
The bridge between you and me. The old bridge means for me more than 50 mosques and one cross erected here, because it connects two parts of our divided city. Boris Filipovic lives in the western part of Mostar and is about to graduate high school according to the Croatian syllabus. For the first time I met him in the Fra Graga Matic High School, and soon we were joined by his colleagues Jana and Daria, who also took part in our meeting. Their class teacher allowed them to see me since they are involved in some projects focused on the cooperation of cultures. Boris revealed me later that Daria, Jana and he were selected for our interview because all of them dropped religion as a subject.
So Boris is one progressive guy who is not interested in religious topics, and therefore he and his classmates were selected by the teacher to have a work with radio, to attend the radio project, because the teacher is anxious if the students are very religious, how to behave then during the project time.
Again, they are only terms. It doesn't interest me how the state would be called. Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia. We can also name it Disneyland. If I can live comfortably and well in it, I don't care what name it would be.
Des Vereinten Staates Bosnien. Nur ein Staat mit einem Präsidenten an der Spitze?
Es ist doch schon wieder bloß ein Name. Es interessiert mich nicht, wie der Staat heißen wird. Bosnien, Herzegowina, Serbien. Wir könnten ihn auch Disneyland nennen. Wenn ich gut in ihm leben kann, ist es mir egal, wie das Land heißt.
So, here the main idea is that Boris is discussing about the iconography, about terms, and how the state has to be named, because every time the people are discussing there, it has to be named Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, and his opinion is doesn't matter how is the state, how can be the state named. Also Disneyland could be good if he's satisfied and live good in it. So this was the example of the Bridge Between Me and You project with the youngsters in Mostar, and we have also another project in Berlin called Crossing Barriers, Understanding the Other, and meet each other and working on radio programs has not only educational but also a cultural value, and this did the students from 3 countries, not Ireland, Germany, and Bulgaria, and they met in Berlin in a course of a project initiated by YCBS and called Crossing Barriers, Understanding the Other. The youngsters interview people from different cultural and professional backgrounds living in various districts. The project participants themselves have interesting backgrounds also. Some of them are students from Sofia, attending the Hebrew and English school and making radio in their spare time. Others are bilingual in Turkish, German, or Arabic and German. And third one of the participants from Ireland, for example, is a student from Derry, planning to continue his education at university in Scotland. And in Derry, we associate with the Bloody Sunday from the New History, where Catholics and Protestants fought against each other. During the projects, we discussed some questions, as for example, how do I live in my neighborhood? Who are my neighbors? Where do I meet my friends and exercise my hobbies? Where do I spend my free time? Which languages are spoken in my neighborhood? And so on and so on. And actually we met and we conducted the project in Berlin-Wedding, but the Berlin-Wedding neighborhood became a part of the city center in Berlin due to the unification, and currently belong to the Berlin-Mitte district, very expensive district, but Wedding is still very poor, and there are living immigrants, unemployed people, and so on. Yes, let's listen to this, to the excerpt of this radio feature, Crossing Barriers.
Also mein Name ist Steffen Kühn, ich bin 37 Jahre alt, arbeite seit 2006 beim Arbeiter-Samariter-Bund in Berlin, zunächst im Rettungsdienst, jetzt leite ich eine Notunterkunft für Flüchtlinge seit einem Jahr. Ich selber lebe in Marzahn, Hellersdorf, seit 1981 und fühle mich da sehr wohl. Warum ich den Job hier mache? Ich arbeite gern mit Menschen, mir macht es Spaß, die auch verschiedenen Schicksale kennenzulernen. Und wir wollen vom ASB.
Stefan is responsible for the refugees house in Berlin-Moabit. Berlin-Moabit is a multicultural district of Berlin where people from different religions live together. Stefan himself lives in Berlin-Marzahn, a district located in the former East Berlin with mostly German neighborhoods. In the media, Marzahn is often represented as a district where some people and groups are considered to be unfriendly towards foreigners. A refugee house located there was attacked by neighbors and inhabitants from the area. Stefan is crossing barriers every day, moving from Marzahn to Moabit, and he does a good job with his colleagues from the refugee house security, who are also from different countries.
Was wir auch haben, ist halt auch über die ANA bzw. über verschiedene Vereine, die hier tätig sind, gibt es eben auch eine ganze Menge ehrenamtliche Sprachmittler, die auch mit einbezogen werden können bei Bedarf.
And there are also a lot of volunteers from different cultural backgrounds, or people who are speaking different languages, who are also supporting the everyday work with the people who are not speaking German.
Do all the refugees have the conditions to practice their religion freely?
Yes, of course. They, about 500 meters there is a church for Christians. And we have for Muslim.
So this is the excerpt of the radio feature Crossing Barriers, Striving for Harmony. This is the title which the students and authors of the feature gave their production, and it is produced by the Irish, Turkish, German, Bulgarian students. How to overcome barriers and build bridges, I would say on behalf of independent educational media, as YCBS is, which encourage young people and people in general to tell their story, to be heard, to share their experiences, to make a network by similar thinking people around the world and with radio or media in general. Tell your story because it could be also maybe mine. Your story will give me an internal view of your life, society, and culture, and then I can better understand your attitude and values. Radio gives people the possibility to get in contact with each other, to participate, and to build an international community. So you are also invited to participate in YCBS because it is okay for young people and by young people, but not only limited for that target group. So you are invited to participate in it. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your talk. It was very, very good. My name is Gustavo. I'm a Peruvian undergraduate student in Canada. And I wanted to ask you, when you begin this project with the youth for radio programs and so, how do you approach them, or how do you attract them? How do they find out about the projects and decide to get involved?
Yes, it is in fact a really hard process in the beginning because they think that doing radio or making radio is very, very hard process and encourage efforts very much knowledge in techniques and digital cutting. Yes, of course, there are some things which have to be learned by the students, but the techniques became very democratic, I think, because you can learn all of the stuff, technique stuff, very, very fast nowadays. And actually, I made my first contacts through the university, through giving lectures on radio feature production, and also involving students from poor districts of Berlin to take part in radio workshops for free. Of course, I get some salaries by programs and grants because it is not possible to work for free a long time. But actually, yes, I spoke with politicians, local politicians, and they gave me the possibility to involve or to include people from social poor environment to take part in radio workshops for free. And this was the one contact, and the another one was through the work at the university and giving lectures and involving students to broadcast their programs on radio, because it is normally not possible to broadcast your program as a young author in the public media. And it is a good fact, it is attraction, yes, if someone come to you and provide you this, okay, you can have your own program and you are the author of it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sufyan, I'm from Morocco. Thank you very much for your talk. Quite interesting. I was actually interested in the idea that you said that walls exist in people's minds. And you said that's because of politics and the economy in one side, and the other side you mentioned the media. So my question is based on what the kind of work that you guys do on a radio, and my question is, what is your audience? Is the audience young people, like the ones who work on radio, or you're actually trying to approach or reach out for decision makers who you really want to hear your stories and then make, let's say, the change that you guys are inspired to see in reality? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. So they are different people. Actually, I'm working also in the public radio in Germany, and my colleagues there, as a freelancer, of course, my colleagues there are a bit, they have mistrust. Oh, which kind of media is it, and how do you work in there? It is very professional or not. But they became interested in this production, and in the meantime, as I know, I don't know exactly who is listening to these programs, but actually I am working with people from the media, from the public media and for other media in general, and all of these people are interested in such projects because not because of the topics maybe, or not because of the aspect of independency, but actually because due to the fact that nowadays media became very important in internet. And they are actually mostly interested then in new media, these people who are from the media sector. And on the other hand, of course, these are people who are producing their programs for YCBS, and also politicians, because it is, how to say, it is an advertisement for a politician when he's appearing in a framework of such media everywhere and participate in interview and yes, and this is political correct. Yes, it is interesting for interesting for such people as well. Of course, in Germany, the media situation, the media landscape is very conservative, I would say, because I have experiences in different medias in Germany. It is another thing in Great Britain when we spoke about producing programs and reportage by people from the countries and in their mother tongue, or researched in their mother tongue, then it is the approach or the kind of working also of BBC. BBC makes such things as well. In Germany, it is not so usual to work like that, which is very pity, but it is the situation here. And therefore, yes, I think step by step, the people also here and abroad will be opened for such kind of media, more and more, I hope.
Thank you very much. We wish you and your organization success.
Thank you very much.